Hi everybody. Well, this is our first introduction to the Blender program here, and how to not be intimidated and how to get around and sort of get comfortable with the interface. When you launch the program, it comes up pretty quickly and it's got this splash screen here. If you just click away on the viewport background here, that goes away, and the default opening scene is always a cube right here, and a lamp up here, and a camera right here. And to select objects, first thing to learn is you want to right click on it using your right mouse button. If you're trying to do the course on a laptop, it makes your life much easier if you can plug in a number keypad or use a regular full-size keyboard plugged into your laptop, as we need the number pad for many operations of viewing, and I'll get into that in a second, and also a regular mouse that has 3 buttons: a left button, a middle button, and a right button. So, okay, first thing is how do we zoom in and out? So I'm going to use the middle mouse button and scroll forward, and that zooms in, and pull on your mouse wheel and that zooms out. Okay, and notice also these 3 handlebars here. If we want to move the object, when it's selected, you can just left click on this blue Z-axis and move it up and down. And if you click on the green Y-axis, you can move it left and right relative to this point of view. And the X is forward and back. Okay, so far so good. This little red and white circle in the very middle is our 3D cursor. If you left click anywhere, it follows where you click, and when you add objects, it goes to where the 3D cursor is. Put that right back in the middle. Okay, next, how do we orbit around? So moving around our object like this is just a matter of pressing down on the middle mouse button, holding it down and scrolling or moving your mouse around. Okay, so we can see underneath and over the top. We can scroll this way or go this way. So that's called orbiting. Panning means we can move the object left and right within this viewport window. So if I hold down Shift and then hold down the middle mouse button, then the object travels left or right, up or down this way, and that's called panning. Okay, simple so far. One of the things that we'll be doing in the class is setting up a lamp and viewing our scene or our object through the camera. And when we start with the default scene like this, if I hit number pad number 0, what that does is it gives us the point of view exactly from the camera, and this outline here shows us an HD camera. Over on the right here, we can change the resolution of this HD image by scrubbing or typing in changes to these numbers here. Okay, so sometimes we like a different point of view. Okay, and then hitting 0 again brings us back to the default scene. Down here in the lower left, I want you to take a look at this. It's called object mode, and most of the time, or much of the time, we're in object mode when we're working on this, but when we're doing any modeling on this and changing the shape of it, we go into edit mode right here. And the shortcut for coming into edit mode is also just the tab key. So if I hit tab, I'm in object mode. When I tab again, I'm in edit mode. And when we're in edit mode, I want to call attention to these three little buttons down here. One of the basic terminologies is the vertex, which are these corner points, and this first button allows me to select vertices, which is the plural of vertex, or edges, which is the second icon here. And so now when I right click, an edge is selected, so I can change that, moving it or scaling it. I'm going to hit the letter S to scale it, S, and so I can make it shrink or grow this way. Or I can extrude it, E, and pull out a piece of it like that. When I want to undo something, I hit Control Z, okay? And I can go backwards several steps with several Control Z's to get back to my original. You have about 32 levels of undo. The last button are face selects, and you know when you're in edit mode and face select is turned on, there's a little black dot in the middle of each face. So the right clicking now selects just the face. So I can change the shape of the object this way or this way. Okay, I can delete the face by hitting the letter X and click on faces, and then the face is gone. I can extrude the face by hitting E for extrude and then pull the object out this way. Again, Control Z, Z. I'm holding down Control with my my ring finger, and then hitting the letter Z with my index finger. Okay, so scaling, then let me show you that again. We can scale with the letter S, and I can choose the Z axis by going straight to the letter Z, which is the up and down axis. And now I can squash this down or stretch this out. Okay, I can extrude also on the Z axis, EZ, and then, oops, Z again. Make sure you have that blue line when you're trying to constrain it. If I don't have that Z axis line, then as I extrude, it's going to be squirrely, or it could be. Okay, I can extrude this way, E, and automatically you don't always have to choose which direction you want to extrude on. If I choose this face, for instance, by default it wants to extrude towards the right on the x-axis here. That's called the normal. This is the direction it wants to go in, so if I hit E again, see, it'll just pop out that way. Okay, E, it'll pop out that way. E, it'll go up. Okay, so play around with this. Try it. E pops out this way. Scaling can make this whole thing shrink in or stretch out. If I hit just the letter S for scale, and I pull with my mouse without clicking, to see what happens here. That's an inward movement. Over here, I can hit S again and scale it outwards, depending on which way you want to drag it. Okay, so now one last thing is the position of the camera. Excuse me. If I hit number 0 again, if I want to orbit around or move the position of what I'm looking through here with the camera, I do have to lock the camera to the viewport. So I have to hit the letter N for Norman to bring up this menu, the transform menu. And I want to click on this button, lock camera to view, and then hit N again to get rid of that menu. Now when I'm looking through the camera, I can orbit and zoom and so on. I'm going to give one last little quick thing and then I'll end the video. Is we're in the very basic Blender render. Most of the time we're going to use a more sophisticated cycles render, but leaving it here for a second, what's a render? Well, using the default very simple render engine, if I hit the F12 on my keyboard, what it does is I'm going to hit escape to get out of that. Hit F12 again. It's showing me a very basic light and shadow object here, as if it's set up and not just a model, that it's a real object that's being lit. F12 again. The nice thing about the Blender render engine, it's pretty relatively fast with the default settings like this. Zooming in, and F12 again. It's kind of interesting. So once it's rendered like this, we want to. This is making a picture out of the raw data. This is an actual image that we can save now, and you can come down to the left here and choose Image, Save as Image, and the shortcut to remember, because we'll use it a lot, is F3. So you click that, and then you name this up here, and it's going in by default into your documents. Okay. So test, and the default file format is a PNG, which is pretty universal, and it's a very good format, but if you wanted it to be a JPEG, you can choose that right here, and then click Save as Image, and then you can, let me just show you that on the blog, for instance. I'm going to come over and move the blog. Oop, wrong one. Let's see, right here. Here's our blog. So if I wanted to post that image to the blog, I click New Post once you're logged in. You see, when you see your email address in the top here, you click New Post and title it, and click this button right here, Insert Image button, and then you choose Files right here, and then I'm clicking on Documents, and then it's Test, right? So come on down here, right there, click Open, and then Add Selected at the bottom. I can click here and make this large. On horizontals, don't go extra large because that bleeds into our right menu. And then you can type something. Test image from first video, and then click Publish here, and then you can click View Blog in the upper left here, and there it is. So I'll put a link to the video here, and it's going to be in the playlist in the upper right up here, and also linked on the syllabus. So, see you in the next video.